Hello everybody, Frankie Dave back here again on YouTube. Okay guys, YouTube, I got the RMS Titanic shaking. I'll work on 3 at a time. Got the Charles Morgan, RMS Lusitania, RMS Titanic, all 3 going at once. And so my Lusitania is drying right now, fellas. I should have a video of that tomorrow. I've been working on it last night to about midnight or so, and put it away. She's covered up now to keep the dust and the elements off of her, like that of the Charles Morgan over there. And so I got the portholes I got to finish up on, and a little touch-up painting here and there, and I'll go ahead and produce a video for that for tomorrow. So that'll be on the agenda for that. Okay, this evening, folks, is the RMS Titanic. This is a 1/350 scale, like that of the Lusitania, and this is the Mini Craft version. And the Intex version came out in 1974, and like that of the Lusitania, it went through a lot of hands, reboxing, Manbark, Revell, and Gunja Sanyo, and Mini Craft now got it. Intex kind of went out of business probably about 1980, 82, 83, so 83 I think is when last time they were out of business, and that's when they surrendered their molds to Mini Craft and Gunja Sanyo, which is now Mr. Hobby. Okay, folks, you all know everything about the legendary late great RMS Titanic, the ship of incomplacency, the ship of dreams. What a beautiful ship she was, and we'll discover a little. I'll relight a little history for it, folks, before we get to the build of the model itself. The RMS Lusitania was conceived by Lord Perry, and also Bruce Ismay, which is the founder of White Star Line, which at the time was a bankrupt steamship lines, and Bruce Ismay and his late father, they more or less monopolized on that by making money. And the forerunner and the greyhounds of the seas at the time were the RMS Lusitania, and the RMS Mauretania, and the Bulgaria, and the Carpathia, Californian, and the Mount Tempo, and and a lot of other ships too, of White Star and also Cunard. They were champ steamers going across the information highway from across the New World to the Old World, and vice versa. RMS Titanic was conceived by 1910, by 1912 of her launching. Of course, we all know her maiden voyage, she struck an iceberg and sunk, taking with her over 1,500 people. And it's a very terrible thing, folks. It goes to shows you what ignorance can do. When you think you're very confident over something like that, that's when it's going to bite you right in the ash can. And you got 1,500 souls who gave their life for nothing. And there's nothing in the world, I'm an ex-sailor myself, and nothing in the world is worse than drowning. And you're at the sea in 28-degree sea water. Once you're in there, no matter how healthy, how hardy you are, you'd be Jack LaLanne or Jack Armstrong, the all-American boy. As soon as you hit that ice-cold water like that, your nuts get about the size of chickpeas, and next thing you know, you're hooping and hopping for air, and hypothermia will set in. The next thing you know, you're a human popsicle. And sometimes you go all the way down to the ocean floor. And the Titanic has always been a one-of-a-kind ship. Funny thing about it, fellas, when I was a little boy growing up, I never heard of the Titanic. The only time I heard the RMS Titanic is when I used to watch the movie back in the 1950s with Kenneth More in it. He played, I think, Murdoch. He played Second Officer Murdoch. It's by a novel by great late Walter Lord, the Night to Remember. And I read a book about that too when I was in junior high school, and I made a book report on that and got an A on it. Now that's when I knew the Titanic existed. And so the whole world was blind to the Titanic until 1985 when Explorer, Dr. Robert Ballard and Wood's whole team out of Maryland, they went into a pursuit for and a quest for the search of the RMS Titanic. And you got a lot of people out there who are very pessimistic about ever finding the ship. They say she don't exist, she's gone. It's too deep of water, she's probably gone by now. And Jack Grimm was the first one that really had a hard on going out there trying to find the Lusitania, but the Titanic, but he never found it. So he kind of fudged out, and he was hosted by a French team. And so by 1985, September of 1985, Woods Hole and Dr. Robert Ballard discovered and found the RMS Titanic, and the rest is history. And there's been a lot of artifacts. There's been raised from the ocean. You got George Tulloch and his vultures out there that went there and did some grave robbing on the Titanic and taking souvenirs off the ship. You know, guys, to me, a ship like that is like the USS Arizona. That'd be like somebody diving down there taking belt buckles and dog tags off dead sailors that are still laying in their racks during the attack of Pearl Harbor when they didn't even get a chance to piss their pants when that damn Kate-97 dropped a bomb down that darn second magazine. And so to me, that's kind of grave robbing, folks. You got over 1,500 people that are dead. They died. Babies, women, and children, and men. And going down there and pillaging and taking the jewels from the grand old lady. That's terrible. But, you know, in a way, it kind of preserves the Titanic. You got a lot of people out there that like to see the artifacts of it. Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, they got a 1/3 scale model, a 1/3 model out of it. They made a museum out there, and they have a lot of artifacts in there too as well. Okay, guys, getting back to the Mini Craft 1/350 scale RMS Titanic. I've been working on this thing pretty much yesterday, and pretty much all day, but pretty much today. I started it way back. I had it all covered up, put it in a box, and so I want to get her out and start finishing up. Ships like this, folks, it's always best if you go out there and get yourself an aftermarket fitting set, all photo etch set, because there's a lot out there for this kit. And this is actually a museum quality type model, and it deserves all attention it can, especially the photo etch range and the aftermarket products. Right now, actually, I got it done. The decks come off, folks, because I ordered a window set for it, a rail set for it, davit set, extra detail set for it. This thing's going to be detailed out to the max. Even got little itty bitty 1/350 scale people. And I learned by surfing through eBay, they got pre-painted 1/350 scale 1920 or Gilded Age passengers made for the Lusitania or the Titanic. They even got the band playing too. So we'll zoom in a little bit and we'll take a look at the Titanic a little bit, and I'll discuss what's been done on it, and we'll finish up the video. Okay, boys, here we go. Okay, guys, as you can see right here, and there's Splendor right here. Got the whole ship was completely primed. I had the terracotta for the water line, masked off the water line. I masked off the top of here with the blue topping on top of the second class promenade deck right here. That's all been airbrushed white, and a nice fine gold line was achieved. Again, folks, after the whole ship was painted with white primer, I took pinstripe tape, pressed it up against alongside here. I painted the white on here, the black, the terracotta, hull red oxide red. And when it's all dried, pull the gold tape off, and you got a nice, beautiful, straight gold line with the Titanic in. The decks come off, folks. They come off here. This comes off. Poop deck comes off. So I got to put those little windows on the side there, folks. Before I close this in with the side with superstructure sides on here, with the promenade walls here, where it's filled in, I got to get those window places put in there. Because the instructions they suggest from the inside only, you slop in white, brown paint, which highlights the windows, and of course they bleed over the sides. By the time you take thinner over it and clean it off the thinner of it, you're taking up the paint, so you're defeating your purpose. So the best thing to do is to go out and get yourself a photo etch set for it, which I did, to make your windows. And I've seen a lot of Titanic models on the internet that use the photo etch set, and believe me, it really enhances the model immensely. It really brings her to life. And she's 31 1/4 inches. She's exactly 160 feet longer than the RMS Lusitania. She's 30 feet wider than the Lusitania. Indeed, she is a very, very big ship at her time, folks. No mistake about it. And she was the largest moving object man-made in the early 20th century. Now they got bigger. But the Titanic was believed to be unsinkable, which we all know it wasn't. She was made of iron and should sink. And they took the unsinkable from Shipbuilder magazine, and it was publicized throughout the United States of America, through England, and they more or less capitalized on it, said she's unsinkable, and they said God herself couldn't sink the ship. Well, God didn't have to sink the ship, man did. By sheer arrogance, taking a ship like this, going 21 knots full speed through an ice field. And a lot of people said, oh, they should have used binoculars. Binoculars would do no good, folks. I want to tell you something. When I was in the Navy, when I stood forecastle watch, even bridge watch, I stood on top of the bridge with a pair of binoculars with a 1MC in my darn ears, in my mouth, reporting objects. But we're out there in the middle of the ocean, folks, even with stars ablazing, with a moonless sky like a Titanic was, you can't see that out of those binoculars. All you see is two big black holes. So binoculars wouldn't do no good. When you're 50 feet above the deck on top of the crow's nest, when you're going 21 knots and you got 30-degree weather out there, and you get that cold air hit your eyeballs like that, they start to water and blur, and you spend most of your time just trying to relieve your eyeballs just to get the tears out of them. So when they found the berg, the rest is history. I know what I would have done back in those days if I was the Hitchison, the quartermaster of the Titanic. The time a third officer came over and told me hard to starboard and all ahead and all astern, I wouldn't hit that engine order telegraph. I would have took that helm and give it hard to starboard, which is turning port to the left of the berg, full flank as fast as that ship could have gone, and she would have around that berg with no problem into it at all. But see, fellas, when they stopped the ship, they tried to break the ship. When they seen that berg, they tried to break the ship by reversing the screws. They stopped the screws, they engaged it into the reversing linkage. When they reverse the props, what it does, it makes the rudder less effective. Instead of the water orbiting past the rudder, giving the ship the momentum of right and left turns, it was useless. It rendered it useless because all the water was going this way to break the ship, and actually the rudder act like the prow. So actually what it did, it slowed down the ship, and the ship still turned. But like I say, if they never would reverse the agent of the screws, they would have passed that berg, and she probably would have scrapped like her sister back in 1935. She went down 2.5 miles deep of water, folks. She broke in half this section right here. A lot of people say, well, the steel was inferior. I says no. And the historians and a lot of people say no, it wasn't. The Titanic was built very, very well. And they say that a 300-foot gash was hit from the forepeak all the way to boiler room number 6. Now there was a gash, folks, a wound. London Graphics put a picture of this ship with a gaping wound from here on by the keel, 300 feet. I'm going to tell you something, fellas. You get a ship that's almost 900 feet long with a gaping wound that big in her hull. She would have went down in about 5 minutes. 5 to 6, 7 minutes tops, she would have went down. But it was when she hit a berg with millions of tons of displacement with a 45,000 ton steamer. When she hit up against that darn berg like that, it did just more or less push into plates, because these plates were clinkered style. They overlapped, they had rivet holes in them, they powered these rivets in. So when that berg hit the side of that darn, the water, below the water line, it pushed in the plates, causing the water intermittent pinpricks 300 feet. What really did her was boiler room number 6. If that boiler room was not violated, she would stay afloat. She was guaranteed to stay afloat anywhere from 2 to 4 bulkheads. If she was designed with 16 bulkheads, any one of these bulkheads were violated, 4 to front or 4 and a half, she would have stayed afloat. No problemo. She probably got an ocean tug out there, could have pulled her back. Depends on how much damage is done to her. If it's the stern, damaging the P-top tubes and stuffing tubes and the screws, rendering the engines useless. She would stay afloat. She probably had to have an ocean tug go out there and pull her in. But that wasn't the case. With man's stupidity and the overbearance of how superior man is compared to God and everything else, that's what happens. Okay, folks, we'll zoom out right here, and I'm going to finish up the video. Okay, boys, enough right there on the Titanic right there. Give you a good little, give you the straight dope on it. I should have another video of this probably about another 4 or 5 more days from now. Right now I'm at a standstill right now. I got to wait to get my photo edge fittings for it, and so I can't do any more until I get those, because I gotta glue these down. Gotta glue the shelter, the B to A deck, and the boat deck's gotta be all glued down. The first Cape Promenade deck and the boat deck has got to be glued down though, but I can't do that until I get the fitting set for it. So stay tuned tomorrow for the Lusitania. I should have that going for you tomorrow. Okay, guys, that'll about do it for tonight. So this is build report number 1, winter project for the RMS Titanic. And I hope you all enjoyed it very much. And believe me, there's enough out there on YouTube, enough all over the place. So all those builders are different, folks. Okay, guys, so I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, and may God bless, and happy modeling. Please subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next video, and make Mama happy. And we'll see you guys later, fellas. Bye, men. You all take care of yourselves. Frankie Day signing off. Bye, boys.